Are you dumb if you got scammed?
Yes.
Welcome to the General Podcast. This is a podcast series where we discuss events and issues so that students and everyone else can learn from them. I'm your host, Eunice.
And I'm your co-host, JH.
Today, we have a very, very special guest, and his name is Stanley. All right, Stanley, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Stanley. I'm a financial planner, 27 years old.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today. So today's topic is about safety while living in cities. When we talk about safety, physical safety comes to mind, and currently living in COVID-19 times, obviously maintaining physical distance for one's health and safety is important. Speaking of COVID-19, all right, JH, what happened over the Lunar New Year festivities?
Hi everyone, I'm Jian Hong. I got COVID over Chinese New Year. Okay,
Recovered already.
Fully recovered, so not to worry. Okay, so for me, everything happened very quickly. You know, on one day you'll get a negative ART result, another day you'll get a positive result all of a sudden. So for myself, right, my case was very, very mild. So all I had was just like flu symptoms, a bit of cough. That's pretty much it. But I did lose my sense of smell and sense of taste as well.
So what does it taste like? It just doesn't taste like anything like rubber?
That's a very good question. There's one, right? Okay. So one of them was when I was eating instant noodles. When you taste, you can't taste anything. When I was served that bowl of instant noodles, all I could smell, right, was chemicals. So I can't describe it in any other manner, but it just smells like, you know, every time people will warn you about how harmful instant noodles is, right? But
MSG?
MSG smells way better than chemicals. But it's just a very artificial smell. I really can't describe it. That was the extent of what I was sensing. I was able to taste and smell at that point in time. But I'm definitely much better already at this.
Okay, all right. So thanks, JH, for sharing that experience. So physical safety, safety distancing, everyone please make sure to stay safe, right? This is a period of time where everybody is very, very susceptible. Okay, not only the elderly, right? Almost everyone is susceptible to the Omicron variant of COVID. So speaking of safety, right? Physical safety aside, let's talk about online safety. Just like to share something. Right, so about a month ago, I think this was dated 1st Jan, okay, I actually received a letter from Singapore Police Force. So when I first saw this letter, right, I got very kanchiong. Okay, I was very worried because I thought I did something and I had to pay some sort of fine. And then after that, when I look at it closely, I realized that it's actually about scams. So they're trying to warn us against scams. So in this letter, right, for those of you who are on YouTube, you will be able to see I'm holding a letter right now. The letter actually came together with a flyer of sorts. Okay, so basically they are telling us like the different types of scams and all that. So I have 3 types of scams right here listed down. The 3 general scams are job scams, investment scams, and phishing scams. All right, so maybe we can talk a little bit about job scams, right? So the general definition that I have right here on this letter basically says that scammers, they often offer part-time jobs for attractive commissions, right? Open and close inverted commas, commissions. Victims are often asked to transfer money in return for cashback or other benefits.
Yeah, there's one type of that as well, which extends on top of that, right? Because scams, one thing about them is that they're also becoming more and more complex. So one of the types that I heard was affiliate marketing job scams. So on that note, basically what the scammers, they'll try to tell you to do, what they'll get you to do as well, is they'll basically tell you to buy into the kind of items that they have in their inventory. And then what will happen is that, okay, you pay this lump sum, you put it into their company, and then you'll be able to hold this X amount of products. And then when they sell, they will reimburse it back to you one way or the other. But we all know what happens as with all scams. They'll always tell you to put in more money. I think you were mentioning one of them earlier on, which is, are you looking for a part-time job? You can earn $100 per hour. It's very common to find some of these on Telegram as well. So yeah, different kinds of messaging apps. The original intent of a scam still remains the same, right? It's always tied to this idea that they will try to get as much money out of you as possible.
That's definitely something to be mindful of. But something that actually I find interesting is that job scams, right? I was reading up on this article and it started off with small amounts of money first, where they ask you to transfer and things like that. And then when you start to see that you're earning money and it's like easy money, then people start to get quite greedy, right? And then they end up like, transferring larger amounts, and then they get greater commissions, right? And then from there, then they started doing more and more and more until one day everything just suddenly disappears, and then they lost a huge sum of money. So I think really greed is kind of like a main driving factor for a lot of these scams, specifically for job scams, because like you just want easy money. So that's definitely something that we can be mindful of, job scams. Maybe we can move on to investment scams. So investment scams, we have this definition over here again. Scammers befriending victims on social media or dating apps and invite them to participate in lucrative, profitable investment opportunities. So, Stanley, you were sharing previously that you had some stories about investment scams. Please let us hear from you.
Okay, so like for me, maybe the most prominent one that I would like to share is like the investment slash like love scam. I was just on Tinder lah, basically. Okay.
Call the fire brigade because I'm about to light up your Tinder.
Okay, last time, right? Yeah, clarify a bit. Yeah.
Last time.
Yeah, so
because
basically
right now
I was,
very important. Catch already.
Of course. Yeah. So right, like last time I was on Tinder, then you just swiping everyone lah. Then at some point you saw like some pretty Chinese looking girl, right? Like wow, look damn pretty. Probably if it's real, then I won't get accepted lah. Confirm won't get swiped one. Right. So I was like, but never mind, I got a lot of swipes, so I just swipe right. Then really get accepted. So you just start talking to the girl lah. But anyway, the main point here is that you start talking to this girl, and then eventually, right, what the girl will want you to do, right, is she will introduce you to this game, right, this mobile game. So it's very unsuspecting because normally for a scam, right, it's like you will directly transfer money to the scammer, right? But in this case, right, you're never ever gonna transfer money to her. So how it works is that she'll introduce to you this game that is not on Google Store. It's like an APK download. Yeah, so they give you an external website link, and then you just download the game. Right. Then the game is actually decently well developed. Like the graphics look nice. But the thing is that if you play enough games, you'll probably realize that the world building, right, is like just enough for normal people to not realize anything and just go with the flow. Then in the game, the girl told me lah, at least, she was like, oh, I'm level 120. For us to play together, right, you need to be level 100. Then she said, oh, there's two ways lah. You can either slowly farm your levels or you can like pay money to go there. Then like obviously I damn stingy, and so I just farm my way there. Like a boss lah. Yeah, so basically I farm until level 100, right? Despite her asking, hey, why are you taking so long?
How long do you take to...
I only took like, because that game, right, either way, they want you to get to the level first one, because that's where the must pay come in. It took me only a few hours, maybe 4 hours, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, that's
not
quite
too
fast.
bad. I thought it would take a few days.
At this point, the girl started calling me like Wei Huan Fu lah, Yeah, then she wanted to marry me in game lah.
Fiance.
Yeah. So right, to marry her in game, right, I have to propose to her. Apparently, right, in this game, right, to propose, you need to pay money to propose. When I entered the game already, I roughly had suspicions that something is off. Actually, I matched her already, I know lah, but I just go along with it.
So you went into it knowing that this is most probably a scam.
Yeah. Got some girl trying to talk nice to me, then okay lah. I mean, hopefully it's not a guy. Yeah. But then anyway, I just carry on. So I set a $100 budget because like that's
$100 to get scammed.
Yeah, $100 to get scammed and learn more about the scamming world and bring to you all this nice story. Right. So yeah, y'all can drop me donation if you want. Yeah. But anyway,
This is a scam within a scam.
Yeah, so
I
right. So basically the first thing you do is propose, right? Then I have to pay money already. Then after propose, right? So they have 3 rings, like package A, package B, package C. Then package A is like the most expensive. Package C is like the cheapest. So I picked package C lah, of course lah. I picked package C at time, right? Then the girl will also say like, oh, so anyway, you just pick whichever package you think is worth to propose to me. That kind of thing. Then I was like, okay, I picked package C. Then he's like, huh? Is that all I'm worth to you? Then I was like, no, it's not. I save money, so next time we go out, bring you eat good food. But obviously, we both tricking each other, Then after that, later on, I thought like, okay, I'm gonna burst budget. I'm about like $80 in already at this point. I thought it was over already because like, what's after marriage? Then what the hell? They still got some flower bouquet after that. Then I was like, okay, just buy that one last one. Then I burst until like 117. Then still got some more thing about it. Then I was like, okay, never mind, it's done. Then I just ghosted her after that.
I see.
So basically, it's quite crazy because like these scammers, I would call it syndicates. Like they actually made a game, right, that is decent game, like decent looking game that to just scam people. it's crazy also because I was not just talking to her. I was talking to another China girl. She also managed to lead me to the game, but then it was like the same team, basically ancient Chinese martial arts, but then it's a different game. Yeah, that kind of thing. Then they'll actually say things like, hey, make sure you don't play this game with anyone else. Like, you
Very
only marry me.
Is that the point in time where you realize that this could be like something bigger than just like a small operation because you had another encounter with a girl
Yeah, exactly.
who is doing something like that as well? Are the graphics the same or like...
Yeah, it's roughly the same. It's like roughly the same. But then like the title is like different. Example, we have the 射雕英雄传 and then we will also have the 神雕侠女. It's like same team, but then it's like
like China heroes,
yeah,
that kind of
basically
thing.
China heroes.
So after that, you ghosted the girl.
Yeah, then I just go straight. I mean, my budget burst, she don't want to spend time with me. Then she'll just say like, oh, 未婚夫, where you go? That kind of shit. Then I just like, oh, then I was like, wow, I better not be guy.
The main thing here would then be you went in knowing that it was a scam already.
Yeah.
And I would say there's a lot of effort put into making you part with your money, right? Because you actually went into a game and then they have different levels and all that. So kudos to them for effort. I think 100% effort.
It's an actual career for them. They make much more money than probably any of us.
True. You could be that as well. Yeah, that being said, they make much more money. I think on average, right, I'm not too sure about the numbers, but I think Singapore annually, every year, we gonna scam at least a few millions, right? Yeah, so I would say that Singaporeans, are we really very, very vulnerable to scams? Are we dumb enough?
Maybe.
That could be the one possibility, is that like Singapore being a modern city, right? And also because we are so interconnected with the rest of the world, right? So it makes it much easier for other people from other countries or even people within our country to physically take money out of our banks.
It's true. In a sense, Singapore is a prime location, right? I mean, all around the world, people will hear that, oh, Singapore has the highest percentage of millionaires. So it makes us easy pickings for scammers to target if you're looking for a particular country.
Correct.
Yeah. So when you're talking about banks, so we were talking
Yes.
about the most recent case.
Yes, the most recent saga, the OCBC saga, right? Maybe JH, you can share a little bit more about what happened during the OCBC.
From what I can recall of the details, basically it was a form of a phishing scam. These sorts of like SMSs will be sent to random Singapore phone numbers and they'll be claiming that, oh, we are sending this from OCBC, your account has been compromised, and the users who do fall for the scam, they'll click on the link and then they'll start giving out their one-time passwords and then process a couple of bank transfers, and that's how they end up like Singaporeans losing millions of dollars.
And more than 10 million.
More than 10 million, yeah, from that recent saga alone. And I think the bank's response to that, fortunately, I suppose for the people who got scammed at that point in time, right, the bank was kind of like a goodwill payouts to these people who got scammed. But it's also kind of like a very tricky situation, right? I mean, we were talking about how like whether if you get scammed, whether are you dumb?
Okay, so the question here would then be, should the banks be responsible if such a situation were to happen again, right? But maybe we backtrack a little bit. Do you think what OCBC did for customers or for the OCBC clients, right? Do you think that it was justified? Do you think it was something that is correct?
On my end though, for me, it's mainly a PR stunt. When I think about it that way, the response time it took for them to perform this rollback, right? Like if the intention was purely out of goodwill, like perhaps right from the beginning, it would have stopped right there. But this whole saga had spread across the span of a week or two. And then even at that point in time, the government had already stepped in to say like, hey, you need to do something about it. You need to fix it. So on my end, I see it mainly that like, it's not necessarily the bank's responsibility, but it was something that they felt that they needed to come out and like say something at the very least rather than do nothing about it. Yeah.
It was also quite unfortunate because it was OCBC. It could have been other banks as well. Maybe Stanley, you can kind of share a little bit more about like what do you think about this whole OCBC saga? Like why is it there was so much commotion over this?
I think mainly because, right, like in Singapore, right, the general population had placed very huge amount of faith into our banks because maybe it's very tied up to the government. Yeah. And we place a lot of faith in these banks because of that. For such a large number of people to be scammed, right, from these banks, right, that we trust so much, right, then make people like, oh, suddenly like this very huge system of trust is like suddenly broken. That's why everybody is like make a very big fuss out of it, I feel.
It's something also that is quite different from like the regular scams. That sounds so sad. Once in a while there are scams, right?
Yeah.
Mostly because the messages that the scammers have actually utilized, they actually borrow the same name of OCBC, right?
This one was like, I read online one lah, okay? Do your own research. Yeah. So basically, right, what it means is that in US, right, for anyone who want to send message and with your number and then appear with a name, right? I forget what's that called. Yeah, but basically for you to have that function, right? In US, you need to apply for a license one. Yeah. But in Singapore, right, we apparently don't have it yet. So what the scammers can do is that they can just message you and put their name as OCBC, and your phone, right, will classify all the OCBC name messages under the same thread. That's why this scam, right, is actually very, very hard to run away from if you're existing OCBC customer. Why? Because it will literally appear, right, in your same thread, right, which you have been using every day. So suddenly this new message come out, right, you confirm trust it one. Then it's very hard for you to be discerning at that point to, go inside the website, and that logo out of place. Why got one extra letter missing or what, it's very hard for you to do that. So I think this scam was particularly like vicious in a sense. I think I myself might have gotten scammed because they actually sent me the message also.
Oh, okay.
But I don't have OCBC Bank. So I didn't get scammed. I was like, why they send me? Then I was like, I don't even have OCBC.
Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they send to random people. I thought they really send to targeting like OCBC customers.
Yeah, I got. Then after I was like, I'm not even OCBC. Then I just ignore it. Then until this thing come out, I was like, oh wow.
This particular scenario of the OCBC situation, right? Maybe it's not Singaporeans who are dumb, or maybe it's just so happened that we are very trusting, and it could also be the case where like these scammers, right? They're really quite ingenious. They're really quite ingenious because nobody would have thought of this. Right? I think from then on, what happened was that every bank immediately step up their measures, right? Send things like, please do not click on any suspicious links, right? So all messages sent by banks will no longer have any links and whatnot. And I think there were other protocols as well in place.
So actually, my personal experience, not a scam in terms of money, but I actually fell to a phishing email before. When I was young and dumb, back then, I played this game called RuneScape. It's like a MMO RPG. It's quite popular back then. So I actually had few million of the in-game money in the account, and I was just leaving it there. There was once I received an email claiming from the official company that was the maker of the game, your account has been compromised. So when you see this kind of email, it's usually a very emotional thing. It's like your first response is to jump on it. So they usually tap upon like your fear and your anxiety. So even in the email, then it asked me to reset your new password, and they even asked me for like this in-game bank pin. So it's like an added security. So actually the next time I logged onto my account, I realized that my whole account was basically wiped out. So that was kind of like one instance of it as well, but it's actually much more prevalent than something as large scale or like something as high profile as the OCBC scam.
We can definitely see from that standpoint about, these scammers, they have constantly been very adaptable, right? Keeping up with the times. And then as us as consumers, as customers, we also need to keep up with the times and also be very, very vigilant about this. And I think there was also a message in one of the OCBC articles. They were saying that because this is like the first time they happen on a large scale basis, that is where the banks decided, not only out of goodwill, but also it's their responsibility in this case because they have lapses in their security protocols and all that. And right after this incident, where they step up measures and everything else, they also need to make sure that nothing like this happens again. And if this thing happens again, they have to have shared responsibility. So it cannot only be the banks that take up the responsibility, but the customers who got scammed have to take up the responsibility as well. So that's a shared responsibility. So back to this point about preying on emotions, right? So that's what JH mentioned when he was talking about his MMORPG saga, right? The whole situation, right? So this idea of preying on emotions, right, is something that very, very commonly tied to love scams. Stanley, you had a particular story about investment love scams, right? Regarding your friend.
So basically, my friend, not me now. Okay. So also find on Tinder one.
Call the fire brigade because I'm about to light up your Tinder.
Careful of Tinder, who you match with. So this one, right, the person, right, will try to develop a connection with you. Somehow, right, she will introduce to you this investment platform. It's like the same thing as the game one. The hard thing is discerning that it's a scam because you don't ever transfer money to the scammer itself. So for this one, it's related to cryptocurrency. So basically, they asked my friend to buy a cryptocurrency that is legitimate and been around for quite long. And what they do is you're supposed to take this cryptocurrency, right, and take into an external platform. So that's the most suspicious part is to trust that external platform. But because the girl has built a form of trust, right, with my friend, so my friend will think like, okay, maybe can trust, and like the girl has put on an image of like, oh, she's damn rich overseas and stuff. She's like own another business outside herself, and they talking at time they'll show like, oh, exchange photos and stuff. So you like build some trust. Why my friend will put in is because, right, this platform, right, is not to impress the girl, but it's because, right, the platform actually promises damn good rate of return. So basically, like you put in 1 month, you get back guaranteed 30% return. So right, in normal times, right, this is actually definitely too good to be true lah, in a normal stock kind of thing. But in cryptocurrency, if you have seen this kind of gains, right, normally, right, but then that's where you need to know that in cryptocurrency, nothing guaranteed. But this one, they guarantee. So that's where, right, when my friend discussed with me, right, we're like, oh, actually, that's a bit suspicious. How can they guarantee this kind of thing? Normally cannot guarantee one. So once again, we go in knowing that it might be a scam. Yeah. But for us, we noticed this one is more like a Ponzi kind of thing. So basically, in a Ponzi scheme, they ask you to invest your money and then they promise you a return. How they pay you these returns, right, is actually from other people's money. So, right, Ponzi is not confirm lose money. If you go up fast enough, you still can make money. So basically, me and my friend was like, okay, we go up fast enough, then we see how, right? And we also not so sure if it was actually a Ponzi because they actually have written articles online. So we thought maybe we were early, but they only have 4 and they ever only have 4 articles. So that made me suspicious also. Why no other reviews, only these 4 articles? When we put in money, we put in the first month and we actually got our 30%. Then we started discussing with another friend who got scammed by a real full-fledged Ponzi before. Because of that, he read a lot into Ponzi. Then he was like, Ponzi has a typical scheme, typical like flow of how things work. So right, basically they will start amassing money, then the rate of returns, obviously, it will be that promise very high one lah. But at some point, when they notice, right, people start taking profit. Then people start realize that I don't want to be so greedy anymore and start withdrawing money. Or they start getting less and less people to milk. Then they will cut the interest rate. So that's the first sign of every Ponzi. You all need to know. That was what happened to us in the second month. Right after we got our first payout, right? Then next month, right, they say, oh, now we'll be cutting the interest rate to 15-20%. Then we're like, oh, you're done now. We know already.
That's the exit point already.
So it's like, we can do one
Hold
more
on a
month
bit
lah.
longer.
Basically, 15% still not bad, what, right? So we just put one more month. Then we cashed out. Then my friend also sometimes he tried to ask the girl, hey, don't you think it's a scam kind of thing? Then she like start getting angry, like, why you don't trust me? Is it? Then don't talk to me, that kind of thing.
Getting very defensive.
Yeah, but then he was like, no, I never take out, but actually he took out already. He's an avid Reddit user, so he went on Reddit to try to find out. And for the longest time, he never find anybody. So finally, after like 1 month after we cashed out, right, then he found somebody, and this guy was from the UK. But his relationship with the girl scammer, right, was more of like acquaintance. Also met on dating app, but just good friends or just talk occasionally kind. Then she said, oh, I'm investing in this app. You want to do, you do. Then obviously he did. But then the great thing is he put 60k in. He showed us the third sign of the Ponzi scheme, which is basically they will start limiting withdrawals. Like don't let you withdraw so fast. And so now basically his money very hard to withdraw lah. Almost probably gonna lose most of it already. Yeah, but cannot do anything lah. This kind of life sucks, man. Actually, now talking about Ponzi, then it also brings me back to the first one, the job scams, right? It's also like Ponzi, right? Because they ask you to put in your money, then you can make back a lot of money, right? Then it's just because they amass a lot of people's money, right? To ask you to pay, then pay you back all these profits, right? In a sense.
True. Similar behavior pattern. Going back to the Reddit user who was at UK, right? Who shared about this. So what happened to him in the end? Did your friend actually...
He's still inside. He's still having trouble taking out his money. That's why I say sucks to be him. Cannot do anything. It's like really cannot do it. Their withdrawal system is not an app, what? I mean, it looks like an app, but it's not an app. It's because you go and process, then the back end will process the withdrawal. Got one time they actually almost withdraw us 2 times the money. Almost made an error. Then my friend go and write in for what? I don't know why he write in to a scammer department. In the end, we never get to enjoy the 2 times. I don't know why.
Okay.
Wasted. Yeah.
But then it appears that it's quite legitimate in some sense, because like they have all the back-end processors, everything.
Oh, they have to make it right. At least some semblance of their customer support.
And the 4 articles that you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
So
And it's
looks like a
crazy
legit
because
platform.
like it spans all the way to UK.
So
They
worldwide
stretch damn big.
syndicate.
It's a global syndicate.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned this point about the pull-out period, right? The exit point. And it's probably because you are aware of the whole
definitely.
situation and
That's
you have
right.
heard of this kind of situations, right? So I think one thing that we can definitely learn from these kind of scams or people who have fallen into scams, right, is that it started from greed, but in part it's also because of lack of information.
Yeah.
And understanding of things which is related to maybe investments that cause them to perhaps not know when to exit, how to exit, and understand the whole situation.
Yeah, that's true. Because like I understand that in crypto it's very hard to guarantee things, almost impossible to guarantee any form of rate of return, right? So that's one form of information, right? You know about the thing you're investing in, how it works normally, right? Then secondly is knowing how to identify a scam. Then also third, knowing the cycle of a scam, right? So if you know these 3, you probably can make some money from the scam. No lah, kidding. Don't take that advice, okay? Just kidding.
But it's quite interesting, right? That when you mention about how the whole investment scam started out, basically is a love investment scam, right? How it started is that you meet this, it's always on Tinder somehow.
Yeah.
You meet the girl on Tinder and then she'll
Build a
somehow
relationship.
build that relationship. So it's about establishing that emotional connection at the bare minimum, right? So there are also kinds of other types of scam. The ones that I feel one of the most deplorable ones, right? When they really tap on your feeling. When I was reading up an article a couple of months ago, a case where they call it a kidnapping scam. Yeah. So what happened in that particular situation is that the kidnapper will basically give the parent a call or an SMS saying that, hey, I have a child with me. Pay me this amount of money or you will never see him or her again. That first instinct, right, like maternal or paternal instinct, right, is definitely to panic. Then wonder like, oh my goodness, they're going to hurt my child. In the article that I read, right, the parent had actually lost, I think somewhere like almost like a 6-figure sum. So it's very scary to see how like a lot more of these kind of scams, right, are getting increasingly complex in the way that they do certain things.
So at that time, I think Stanley, you were also saying that okay, you gave ideas, but I think it's good that we share that.
This
Came out with a
random
plot.
idea that I thought of lah, like how they can mix up all the scams that is existing today to create the ultimate scam, right? So this is not to give a scammer's idea, is to give audience like the idea, like
A sensing
knowledge,
of what can
knowledge.
actually.
Sense of how
Exactly.
severe this
Yes,
whole situation
yes.
can be.
if you think about phishing email, so we got JH, the RuneScape example, right, where they send him an email in place of the actual company. So what a scammer can do nowadays, even impersonate the school, send an email say like, hey, Satan or what, you know your daughter didn't come to school today. May I know what happened? The person may or may not read the message, right? But then next thing you do, right, is like the scammer, right, just need to call the parent, right, and say like, we have dropped you an email, right, and notice you didn't reply, but your daughter didn't come to school today. So want to let you know and hope you can give us a reply in the email. Then after I put down, right, then straight away the next scammer just call and say like, I kidnapped your daughter. Then it's like the parent confirm like you
Yeah.
get tricked one, right? Because like a school, right, which is another organization which everybody trusts so much, right? Which will definitely have the one of the worst security system because it's a school. Oh my god, my daughter didn't go to school. Then this person just called for me a kidnap. Wow, then told already. Confirm kena scam.
So it's really very scary. And we might think that, oh, it won't happen now or it won't happen to me. But you really never know whether these kind of things will happen or not. So good to be vigilant, guys. Good to be vigilant.
And how you know it never happened to you, right? It's because, right, you have the experience, you got the knowledge already.
Whoa, you
Right,
got
so
the.
you know, so when the person
spot
call
the
you, right,
signs,
you'll be like,
stop
oh,
the crimes.
same. Then you like,
You're like, oh, Stanley told me this story before.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Then you need to drop some donation. Remember, I lost $100.
Thank you for the public service that you have done for us. And everyone, please take note of the scenario that he has mentioned. Yeah, so Stanley, you were also mentioning that you're a financial planner, right? So I'm pretty sure that within your field, there are definitely all these scams around. Can you share a little bit more about that?
In my line, the most common kind of investment/insurance scam, right, is not really the typical kind of scam you transfer to in the agent one, but it's more of like a dishonest agent where they may make false promises that is not in the T&Cs or the terms and conditions of the contract. So basically they can say like, oh, it's a savings plan, or after 2 years you can cancel. But then the plan is a 10-year plan, so obviously you can't sell it as a 2-year plan, but they'll tell you as a 2-year plan. And as a consumer, you only listen to your agent. So you're like, oh, this is a 2-year plan. I have heard of some clients tell me, basically they'll say like, oh, 2 years, this is 2 years later on, you cancel, right, you still can get back all your money. 2 years later, right, which is when my client told me about it, then he realized like, hey, cannot get back all my money because he showed me. And then I was like, no, I know such thing, right? Then at that point, it's like, oh, it's too late already. It's 2 years later. And this is just small case. The worst one is when they scam the old people's money, right? Especially like in last time 2008, where the biggest one is financial agents were like telling all the old people with their retirement money, like, oh, this one sure make money one, like they guarantee in a sense. When the market crashed, right, then like literally a lot of these retirement savings, right, disappeared overnight. At that point, that's when the MAS all stepped in and started being more like vigilant and make sure that all the agents say the right things. I mean, I think this kind of thing may still go on in our industry nowadays, which is damn bad for me. Because like as an honest agent, right, you damn suffer like to all
Bad
these
reputation,
all these black sheep. Because now like it's only right for my clients to do their due diligence and to suspect me. Right, but then that sucks for me also as a feeling, right? It's, oh yeah, I mean obviously they must do their due diligence, right? But then you're like, why don't you just trust me?
Yeah, so there's this inner conflict, like you get it why customers are like that, but at the same time you're just like, okay, can you just trust me because I know what I'm doing and I have a lot of experience and I'm sincere.
It's literally in the black and white. How can I lie to you? That kind of thing. It's like, but then you're like, is it?
Suspicious.
Is there? Is it?
Yeah,
that kind of
true,
thing.
true. Moving on to the next segment, it is Would You Rather? Before that, let's drink up.
Oh,
Cheers.
Nice cup.
Do you like it?
No.
The question here is, which scam do you think is the most cunning out of these 3 scams? Right, we have job and investment scams as well as phishing scam. What do you think is the worst scam to fall for? You could say it's the worst scam to fall for, or you could say it's the most cunning.
But worse
scam.
in what sense though? Like,
Yeah, you
worse
define.
as in like, I would say the easiest one to fall for, right, will be the phishing scams. Like, that's the hardest to discern. Because like, for example, OCBC one is really too hard to discern really when they execute the phishing one so well. So I would say that's the hardest. But then maybe hardest to accept, I would say investment scam or job scam will be the most mentally damaging, because that's like show how gullible you are. It plays on your mind because it hits you because like, and because I'm greedy, yeah, that's why I got hit.
Okay, next. JH, your turn.
Damaging my ego aside, I feel like phishing scams is generally the worst. It's the most cunning, right? I mean, for us, at the very least, we plug for Singapore Police Force, right? And you'll be able to
Stop the crime.
stop the crime, know the signs, right? But for us, whom are very, very attuned to technology already, we are able to know how to discern even as it gets trickier and trickier to see, right? But what about for the older generation? You know, for my parents, right? From time to time, they'll still need to ask me, 这个 message 写什么啊? Like what is this message saying? Like, does it mean that I need to go and pay money? My first response is just, have you sent any money? Have you paid any money? Do you log into your bank account? When phishing scams, right, the moment it moved away from email alone and into SMS, and right now at this stage, we're already talking about like into WhatsApp, into Facebook, on social media, even Telegram, that sort, right? We know that this sort of crime is really expanding and it's only going to get more and more complex. For the older generation, they are already finding so much difficulty trying to know the signs, you know? But for us, right, to be able to discern the signs, we already need to make sure that we are very carefully looking at, this website, whether there's this letter I, is it replaced as a 1, or is it a capital, or is it a letter L? You know, it's already so hard for us to tell. So it affects so much more people than, let's say, other types of scams. Phishing, it doesn't discriminate.
True. I guess that would be the worst. I think the most annoying one, right? To me, the most annoying one is those that call your phone and then they use the computer voice.
Wow.
This is the Ministry of Health. You have gotten blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my god, stop it. And it's like 9 a.m. in the morning and I want to sleep. Please stop. And then I'll block the number. Then they always have another number to reach my number. And I'm just like, oh, this is damn annoying. To me personally, I would say the worst scam or the most annoying scam is this kind of phone scams. Like they call people.
Impersonation
Yes,
scam.
correct. Which I think nobody's gonna fall for it now. But I think this way doesn't mean that other people might not.
But there are people who fall for
Yeah,
it. There's
a lot.
Yeah,
A lot.
but why though?
Say they have to send you this letter.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, but I think Ministry of Health, if they have anything, they will get somebody who is like a real person to call you and talk to you. They wouldn't use a computerized voice to call you and tell you certain things,
That's what the
That's how I
Singapore
think
education
of it.
system teach you, critical thinking.
which some people lack. Is that where you're going wrong?
Yeah, which is
Okay.
like people don't value critical thinking enough.
Hmm.
That is like so damn important. Is literally what helps you not to get scammed.
That's true. Also because we have so much information, everything moves at such a fast pace,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes we just don't bother to slow down and really try to find information that makes us much more knowledgeable about something. We just like everything, okay. That also makes us more vulnerable to scams in some sense. The next question that I have is, what is the slogan of Singapore Police Force attempt to go against scams?
I don't know specifically about. Is it the one to spot the signs?
And stop the crimes.
Right.
So, JH, I hear that you're from the police force when you were doing your national service, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, so
What
if y'all can see, those of you who are on YouTube, right? This is our cardboard policeman. I think that's what they call it these days. Shop theft is a crime. I think it's time we change this to spot the signs and stop the crimes. So, JH, would you like to petition to change this particular standee to your face?
Probably not. I'll prefer to keep my face just on the YouTube channel. I would
But
want
I heard that like people who every time when they see this right at local supermarkets, right, they will try to high five the policeman
They call him
standee.
the striker policeman.
Yeah. No, there's a new one, right? There's a new guy who people are like simping over to take over this standee policeman. Actually, he's not very young anymore, by the
No,
way.
no, no.
Yeah, never mind
Yeah.
lah, it's a timeless photo.
I know this is a sidetrack, but I just think to myself, like every time I look at this guy, right, I feel very watched. Like
That's the point, right?
that's true.
They are totally different campaigns. So
What do you think could be a good poster? I feel like we're doing a public
Spot
service
the
right now.
signs, stop the scam.
Okay, so that means JH, you will be the face. Maybe we can petition for the Singapore Police Force to put it as the face of the.
How can I match up to this handsome sir right here? I don't think I can. I don't think I can.
We have to put the face. Put it.
What the heck?
Okay lah, got some similarities lah. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this podcast episode. We hope you enjoy it. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below if you're on YouTube so that we know that you are watching and you are
Preventing yourself from getting scammed.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Bye. See you in the next one.